What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. We're here today to talk about the Hell in a Cell 2017 predictions. We're going to be breaking down all the matches that are currently scheduled for the pay-per-view and our thoughts on, obviously, who's going to win, what we expect is happening, if any other extra things are going to be added to the card, or whatever the case may be like that. People talking on this panel today, we've got, of course, myself, as always, Tony Mango, and we also have Callum Wiggins.
Hell in a Shell. That's the underwater version. It's the underwater version.
Where Sebastian fights Flounder and I can't remember a lot of the other characters' names.
Yeah, the loser gets served up in a nice dinner.
I could go for that right now. I haven't had sushi in a while. That'd be good. Or lobster, just in general. Man, I'm fucking hungry. I'm always hungry when we're doing these podcasts. Maybe I'm just always hungry because I'm a fat ass. I don't know. Also, hopefully we'll have some kind of chicken dish to add to the plate, I guess you could say, is Caitlin Ferris.
Hey, guess what I just ate less than 20 minutes ago?
Sushi?
No, it was chicken.
Is there like a chicken sushi?
The sushi of the land, the chicken. Yeah, probably. No, not really. They do yakitori, like the little meatballs. But
I mean, you can't eat raw chicken. That gives you like really bad food poisoning.
Hey, so. not all sushi is raw.
You could eat it. It's not going to be good for you. You might
if
die
not
afterward, but at least you'll be the one that ate it.
That's right.
If not all sushi is raw, does that mean some of it is SmackDown?
I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't make that point. Alrighty, well, we've got, 8 matches and another segment that they've advertised ahead of time. So let's start with pre-show. The kickoff match is Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin against the Hype Bros. And I'm kind of assuming that this is going to go pretty much only in one direction. Gable and Benjamin win. Hype Bros go a little bit further down that path towards that heel turn.
That's exactly what I think. They've been teasing that for a while. And with Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, they are more likely to want to push them right now. So exactly what you said. Gable and Benjamin get the win. Hype Bros continue their split.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going along the same lines. I'm not too sure where the Hype Bros are going too much at the moment, whether it is going to be a split or a heel turn, like a heel turn for both of them, or one of them's going to split from the other one, because they seem to be teasing both at the moment. But yeah, I think they need to keep Gable and Benjamin reasonably strong because they've only had 2 matches together, so they want to keep them winning. But along the same lines, which one of those teams is more likely to be feuding next for the tag team championships? I'd probably say the Hype Bros, but I think they'll still lose here to carry on their process right now.
I just don't know what they're going to be doing with this tag title situation because we'll get into our predictions for the other match later on, but Gable and Benjamin haven't really done anything yet. They brought them in and then they were like, let's just not show you for 5 weeks. So it's premature, I guess. Maybe they thought that they were going to do something and they changed plans and now they don't know and they got to reassess it or something, but I could see this being a feud going forward a little bit. But we also have the Clones and the Ascension, and they're not doing anything. The Clones are pretty much back and ready to go. Primo's returned from injury, so we do have those to fall back on.
My guess is that Gable and Benjamin are going to be the next number 1 contenders for the tag titles.
I'd like to see that potentially, but I don't know if I would like to see that versus the New Day. And that's,
I think it's a little too soon, I think, to put Gable and Benjamin. Not that that stopped people on SmackDown before from getting title opportunities before they're ready, but after only a couple of matches and then straight into the title picture, it seems a little bit too much of a disconnect for me. Even if it is a team like the Ascension, I'd still rather see a definitive heel team against potentially the New Day. I mean, if it's the Usos that win the tag title match, it would make more sense for Gable and Benjamin. But yeah, I'd probably like a bit more of an established team to take on the next title opportunity.
Well, one good thing about this current scenario is if they do have the same setup for Survivor Series as what they've done in the past, you don't really need to have as many feuds going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Gable and Benjamin, Hype Bros, Fashion Police, Ascension, Clones, New Day, Usos, and I think that's it. So that's what, 7, 8 teams, and that's more than enough. We only need 5 for the Survivor Series team, and if Gable and Benjamin don't necessarily start a feud for like the tag titles or whatever, we don't even really need it. Well, the tag titles aren't going to be defended at that point, so we can kind of. Well, why don't we talk about, even though we're skipping ahead, if we talk about the tag titles situation, and we're obviously got to factor in the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, which is a Hell in a Cell match, the New Day versus the Usos. I hope and I think that the New Day are going to retain, but if they put this back on the Usos, it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. I just don't think it's the right move, and I'm leaning more towards the idea that the New Day are going to retain and that the Hype Bros are going to lose this match against Gable and Benjamin, but they're somehow going to end up still being kind of the number 1 contenders going forward. And it's going to be like that month-long transitional kind of thing where, I mean, it's October 8th is Hell in a Cell, and Survivor Series is, I think, the 19th of November. We have a lot of time to stretch between then, and then a couple more weeks after that to get to Clash of Champions. So we basically have 2 months before we need to really determine a number 1 contender. And they can do stuff like the New Day versus the Usos in like random matches that aren't the tag titles on the line, or they could do like the New Day versus Gable and Benjamin and just like, a random exhibition match and stuff on SmackDown. And if the Hype Bros build up a little bit more steam in the process, they turn heel, they face the New Day. It could be like that kind of a scenario. But I do kind of agree with what you're saying, Callum, about if Gable and Benjamin are going to be the number 1 contenders, it makes more sense for the Usos to win, right?
Yeah, I think a better, more clearly defined like babyface versus heel dynamic, it makes it more likely to cheer on Gable and Benjamin, because even though they're popular, it seems a little bit strange to put them against a team that's arguably the most popular team on the entire roster in the New Day straight away. It means that people will end up either booing the New Day or Benjamin and Gable, and I don't think they really want that for either team at the moment.
Right.
So it would make more sense if the New Day win that the Hype Bros are next. And that still means the Hype Bros can lose. It just means that this loss can be the catalyst for their either heel turn as a team or split if they decide to go that direction. So they could lose the match against Gable and Benjamin and then turn on them immediately or just attack them post-match, and then they start a feud together that can last the months leading into Survivor Series, and then they can have a number 1 contenders match on SmackDown, and then the Hype Bros win that because they become all serious and tough and they're not taking any more losses type thing. Like
they
that real
the Hype Bros to the Hype Men.
No,
I don't know.
Hype Bros to Mario Bros instead.
I think it'll be telling, the pre-show match, Gable and Benjamin versus Hype Bros. I think based on the outcome of that will give us a much better picture of what's going to happen with the title later on, or with the titles later on in the show. Because if Gable and Benjamin win, then I'm more inclined to say that the Usos win. And, likewise, if Hype Bros win, I'm more likely to say New Day retains. Just because I think that's probably where they're going to go with it. Now, I don't know how long they're going to drag that out necessarily. But one reason why I'm also thinking maybe Usos will get it is because they've been lately switching it every month. They've been switching those titles every month. It switched mid-July, mid-August, mid-September, and now we're coming up on mid-October. So they're just kind of hot-shotting it back and forth between those two teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continued that.
Well, supposedly the reason behind that is because they want the New Day to break that tag title record. And if they keep switching it back and forth between the New Day and the Usos, then the Usos are going to be pretty much doing the same thing too. So I wouldn't be shocked if the New Day dropped those tag titles sometime in the next couple of months, but I'm hoping that it's not just to the Usos again, because they are sort of billing this as the end of this feud. And it should be. It's Hell in a Cell. And I think that it makes sense for this to be a Hell in a Cell match, because they have been feuding for, what is it, 5 months now, it seems? 4 months at the very least.
Since About Money in the Bank, I think, was their first match. So
if they're doing that, and they've built that up more than pretty much any other feud that's been going on right now, then Hell in a Cell is supposed to be a feud ender. And after having so many pay-per-view matches together and so many matches on SmackDown and like the SmackDown Sin City episode and stuff, New Day versus Usos has to end. And if the Usos win the titles to like pretty much end this feud, then they need to figure out another way to get the titles back on the New Day to sort of get that train back. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards just functionality the New Day needs to retain. And then after that, then it's all, who knows what's happening. Because another thing is that they announced that the Fashion Files are returning. They were supposed to return this week on SmackDown. And they even flat out said this. They were like, well, they were supposed to come back this week, but instead it's going to be at Hell in a Cell, which you might as well just read off this sheet of paper. Yeah, we had a plan to do this on SmackDown, but we realized that we overbooked and, I don't know, pay-per-view. We got that coming up. So that is going to be another thing that you need to factor in, because if the Fashion Police are going to be involved in some capacity in the tag title situation, maybe after going forward with this, maybe we get some actual like progression with their whole segments, and either Harper and Rowan return, or the Colognes start feuding with them, or the Ascension finally just like stops eating pie and starts feuding with them, or the Authors of Pain come back or something like that. But I don't think that that's the case, because AOP seems like they're kind of tied into NXT still a little bit. And then again, if the Fashion Police are a part of the title picture, that makes more sense for the Usos, but maybe you do some kind of multi-team thing or something. But where do you guys think is going with the whole Fashion Files thing? Is that going to be just another 10-minute or 5-minute jokey kind of segment and nothing else, or is it actually going to be something this time?
I'm tending to think it's more just a comic relief, just an entertaining segment. I don't think it's necessarily progressing any storylines that I can see right now.
I'm kind of on the opinion that Breezango or the Fashion Police are outside of the tag team division now. I think they're even outside of just wrestling in general at the moment. They're just a comedy act of like, oh, this is something that's like actually popular with people. We've got to keep doing it. And in the meantime, while it's still popular, we won't have them do anything else. This is the only thing they do from this point on, which is just interact with people backstage, just bring in a couple of legends every now and again, make a few inside jokes, and then move on. I don't think they're going to be involved in the tag team title picture, at least until 2018 at this point.
I really hope that they get their shot.
I mean, I'd like to see this actually translate into some sort of opportunity for them, and I would like to see them eventually holding the tag team titles, because I think they've deserved it with the amount of entertaining TV they've put together, especially during these dire days of SmackDown Live. But I just don't think that they see them as wrestlers anymore. They see them as comedy acts.
Isn't it weird that neither of them has ever held a single title in WWE?
Yeah, I was just going to say that about Tyler Breeze. I was like, it'd be nice to see a title on him for once.
I mean, Fandango should have been Intercontinental Champion when he first came in, really. That was where they were going, and then he got injured. So
yeah, Curtis Axel got it instead, and we all know where that went.
Yeah. Mm. So it's not surprising that neither of them have held a title. Not even in NXT, Tyler Breeze never held a title either.
Nope. Which is a big surprise. I thought for sure that he would be the NXT champion at one point. He should have been.
I think he was one of the best options to potentially take it off at Neville.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he should have taken it off Neville. But I think he should have taken it off Neville or Finn Balor at some point.
Yeah.
But
or just been like Intercontinental or United States champion on the main roster or something like that. When he first came in, he was treated like he was actually something.
Yeah, for like a month when he was feuding with Ziggler, which is obviously, as we'll move on to soon, Ziggler is the customary, I've just come up from NXT and so I'm going to fight you.
Yep.
But I think it'll be a big moment when they actually do win it. And I think a lot of people will be very happy about it, but I just don't think it's going to be something that happens soon. I think they've been pigeonholed into the backstage segments for the time being, at least.
I'm really curious, too, if and when they do win those belts, how they manipulate them. Like, do they make some kind of weird fuzzy stuff on the outside of them? Or do they redesign them completely? Or do they, instead of carrying around the titles, do they, like, make little handcuff versions of them or something? You know, like...
I'm looking forward to like a backstage segment where they're just trying to like they're looking at the titles and think these need some sort of makeover, and then there's just like you know one of those shots where you know they're doing something to the title, but you're just looking at them doing it, and then eventually it comes out and then it's got glitter all over it, or just like a selfie stick attached to it or something like that.
Naomi's glow.
It's got to be better than that.
The whole story behind Naomi dropping that title was apparently that they planned on making glow version of those titles, and then Mattel, I think, is the people that they're working with, were like, yeah, that'll take like 10 months. And then they were like, ugh, how about we give it to Natalya instead?
It wouldn't surprise me that it was all a marketing thing. I mean, look what they're doing with the WWE Championship. So
what?
Well, it's just all a marketing thing. So just put it on an Indian to get the Indian market. And
I
stuff
thought you were
that.
talking about like the title design or something. And I'm like, I didn't see anything. I see making like the Punjabi version of that or something like that.
I mean, they pretty much smeared it with shit, but other than that, nothing else really.
Well, when you do come up from NXT, as Callum just mentioned, you feud with Dolph Ziggler, and that's what's happening with Bobby Roode right now. He and Ziggler are scheduled to have their match, which makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't. It's like Bobby Roode is coming out there as a babyface, which is a little bit strange. Ziggler has his anti-entrance gimmick that's going on, and Bobby Roode, for the most part, is like... Everybody loves the babyface kind of aspect of the glorious thing. That's the only thing that makes him a babyface, is that people like to do that. So it's a strange choice for me to pick that as like, he's your go-to, like, everybody loves you because of this kind of a thing. Because it's like, yeah, but he's a heel. Like, Bobby Roode's a heel. He's just like a heel that people like. It's kind of like when DX were like, they're douchebags, you know? And if you met these people in real life, you'd be like, oh my God, this Shawn Michaels and this Triple H, fucking hate them. But when they're not doing that to you, then it's like, oh, I love these guys. So when Bobby Roode's doing the glorious thing to somebody else in a match, like Mike Kanellis, who, oh man, his career is going down, hasn't it?
Oh jeez.
When he's doing that, it's like, yeah, look at that, jerk off's being a jerk off to that guy. Like, you know? But I do think that there's a lot of promise to this. I still think that the match itself could be awesome. It could be potentially the best match of the night, even though that there's 2 Hell in a Cell matches on the card, and another match that I think could be potentially really good too. The feud itself, there's potentially some legs to it, and overall, it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most. I am a big fan of Ziggler, as I've mentioned before. Bobby Roode's one of my favorites that have been on the roster, so a big old thumbs up for this one. And I think Bobby Roode has to win this, because that kind of proves the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. The second part of Ziggler facing the up-and-coming NXT person is that Ziggler loses to the up-and-coming NXT person. So I don't see that trend changing here. Roode is someone who definitely has a WWE Championship level of charisma, and he has that look to him. So Ziggler, for any positive redeeming traits, I'm obviously not his biggest fan, but I know that he's very good in the ring and he does have a lot of experience. But I think his time in the WWE Championship spotlight or in the World Championship spotlight is far behind him. And so you need to look at someone who does have that potential, and Roode definitely does. I do agree with you, Tony, that he is very unnatural at the moment in the babyface role. It just doesn't suit him. Like, any time throughout his career, he's always flourished in a heel role, and anytime he's been a babyface, it's always been a little bit, okay, so he's still a heel, but we're just cheering you right now instead of...
he's a heel that's going up against heels.
Yeah. He's got a very popular entrance, and people, whether he's heel or face, people are still going to cheer the entrance. They're still going to sing along with his theme music. They're still going to do the glorious pose when he does it in the ring. But he just feels more believable when he's a heel. So I don't see his current babyface run lasting too much longer. Maybe towards the end of the year he'll turn. But for the time being, I'm thinking that Roode's definitely got this sewn up.
Exactly. Ziggler is only here to put over Bobby Roode, so that's what we're going to see on Sunday. Like you said, Bobby Roode is overdue for a change, a shakeup. He's much more interesting as a heel. Now, I don't know about you guys. What do you think about what Ziggler's been doing lately? I think I just don't know. I used to be higher on him, but I just do not like the current gimmick that he's doing. And I know it's supposed to be a heel gimmick. He's supposed to be annoying, but it's just kind of blah for me.
I like it.
You know? Yeah.
I think it's funny because it's kind of like, you can tell that a lot of it is real.
Yeah.
Because he's so adamant in every interview that he does for the past, like, I don't know, 7 years or something like that. He's been very much like, yeah, I'm one of the better people in the ring, but it doesn't seem to really get that much attention. You know, there's a lot of people that get a lot more attention than I do. And like, it just like, it's like kind of snowballed to the point where now his literal gimmick is just being like, I'm a good wrestler, damn it. Like, you know, like,
well, it's just the case, like the goodwill that used to be associated with Ziggler when around about probably 2012, 2013, when he was producing these excellent matches still, but people were more along the lines of thinking that, okay, this guy needs his opportunity now. He's been like stuck in the mid card. He's been fighting for the United States or Intercontinental Championship all the time, but he needs to step up now. And people wanted him to step up, and people were happy when he did. Now it's gone to the point where it's gone on so long that now he's shouting about it as much as he ever has been before. And he's always been the type of character that said, I'm the best in the ring and I'm going to prove it each and every night, and eventually they're going to give me an opportunity. Most people now just don't want him to get the opportunity. They just want him to go almost. And I got to that stage quite a couple of years ago where he still produces in the ring, and I'm not saying that he's a bad wrestler by any means. I can't get invested in his matches anymore because really what has he got to gain anymore? He's already had opportunities with the World Championship and he floundered those. Not entirely his fault, but it's still like it holds against him. His last stuff that he did with any real meaning was the stuff with The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, and that ended flat as well. So anytime he is given something to run with, you know that it's not really going to change anything dramatically. So why get behind him or get invested with him when you know that other people are just going to pass him by all the time?
I think it's one of those scenarios where he's kind of that perennial upper mid-carder that'll feud with a lot of people, and he'll always kind of like put them over from now on. Like his spot is kind of like, he had his feud with Nakamura, and it was like Nakamura comes out on top, and now he's going to put over Bobby Roode, and then eventually he'll feud with like Ty Dillinger or somebody, and you know, like they'll kind of keep bouncing him around like that. But I don't know.
But that's a good role for him right now.
Yeah, like, I like that for him, and I mean, I think that it's even funnier that like he's gotten to a point now where his gimmick is the same exact gimmick as what it used to be, but now that he's a heel, now he can like whine about it, and it's not when he was a babyface and he was whining. It was kind of like, oh man, that's kind of annoying that he's just sitting there going like, oh, I'm gonna prove that I'm the best every single time, and then it's like, yeah, but you lost. Now as a heel, it makes more sense that he can say that he's the best and lose and still bitch and complain. And I loved this week when he came out with that fucking air horn.
That was kind of funny. I did enjoy that.
Holding that the whole time. I was like, man, I wish I could do that. Like,
I mean, Ziggler at the moment reminds me of like a circa 2004, 2005 Chris Jericho, where he was always in and around like the upper echelons of like the probably Intercontinental Championship level, but you could tell that his character had grown completely stale. Like, I think for Ziggler, to him to go back into any area of relevance or to push himself maybe to one final run towards the top, he needs to completely change his character. And I hear what you're saying, and I think he's okay, especially in a heel role of being this character, but it's still been the same character for pretty much his entire career. I think if he wants to do it, he needs to have like a complete adjustment. And I don't know when that would be, but I think maybe just go either ultra serious or just completely like do a 180 on his character. I think that might be the next step for him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that'll happen for many, many months.
No, I think he's still got a lot more people to put over. So wait until the point where he can have like a break away from WWE and just come back completely different.
Sami Zayn is another one that he should be feuding with. That can help Sami. Sami's not doing good.
No, not at all. That's very disappointing.
Well, I'm worried that at the moment, in the current trajectory, that Sami will end up being the next Dolph Ziggler. So, and that's
not even on the card for Sunday.
Exactly.
No, he's been skipped over for a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's used as a prop now in feuds as opposed to actually feuding with people.
I could see him being put into a last-minute pre-show match or something.
Yeah, with Mike Bennett or something.
No, I think that
Mike Kanellis, yeah.
they wrote him off, I think, with that whole attack from Owens. He's not going to be making any appearance. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't even make an appearance on the SmackDown following this. And, like, put him, like, 2 weeks from now. That kind of a thing.
Has he been doing house shows since that?
I mean, he was backstage on SmackDown. He obviously wasn't wrestling, but he was backstage talking to Shane McMahon on the last one. So he doesn't look like he's injured or out of commission at the moment. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think they'll be adding another match. I think that they've been hovering around this 8-match kind of card, and they've pretty much got it now, especially with the Fashion Files thing.
Yeah, I think they won't add anything else, but I wouldn't be surprised if you had like Zayn sitting down with the kickoff panel talking about the Shane Kevin Owens match.
That seems like that could be a definite possibility. But there's always room on the card if they end up doing Rusev and Orton as another 10-second match.
I mean, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I guess there's always that possibility.
I just don't want to see this. I'm so I haven't liked this feud at all since before SummerSlam. I think that this is so lazy.
It's definitely not the most creative feud, but I'm personally enjoying it. But that's 100% down to Rusev.
I enjoy most stuff that Rusev does, yeah. But I agree. I don't think these quick matches are really doing anything for either of them.
No, so I'm hoping that this one is going to be like an actual match. Because I think when Orton actually has something to sink his teeth into, and I'm not saying this feud is very creatively stimulating, so I'm going to hold my breath on whether he does pull out a good performance in this match. But Rusev has always been very competent in the ring. Orton on his day can be one of the best in the ring in the whole of WWE. So I still have hopes that this match will be pretty good. But again, it doesn't have a lot of consequence attached to it, which is the issue.
Yeah, flip a coin. Like, don't matter. Rusev wins. Okay, well, he still lost in 10 seconds at SummerSlam. You need to do a lot more rehab than that. Orton wins. Okay. Orton's a fucking 13-time world champion or something like that. He doesn't need it. So, I'm hoping Rusev wins. But it really doesn't matter.
I agree. I hope that Rusev wins, but if I had to put money on it right now, I'd probably put my money on Orton.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I think Rusev, even though he still lost the match in 10 seconds, I think he still needs this win. He just needs to beat somebody who's got a lot of credibility about them in a competitive match, because he just, every time he gets into this situation, it just seems inevitable that he's the one that ends up losing. So I think he needs this, but that makes me think that Orton's going to win.
Probably. Hopefully, if we do get... I know Randy Orton has said that he wants to turn heel real soon. And I don't know if that's really going to happen, or if it's just like he wants to and they're going to drag that out. And eventually he'll turn heel again, because he's always turning heel and stuff. But I would like to see him go into the United States title situation. And I actually want to see him against both Styles and Corbin. But this is what I'm kind of hoping for. I want Baron Corbin to win the United States title here. And I want Randy Orton to be the next feud for Corbin. And eventually down the line, I want Styles to beat Jinder Mahal, and for Orton and Styles to fight for the World Championship. I think that's like the best course of action. And I think that Styles being the babyface, Orton being the heel, could be like a really good feud. But Corbin and Orton, in that scenario, Corbin's got to be the heel, Orton's got to be the babyface. So that's the trajectory that I'd like to see, which kind of means that I'd like to see Baron Corbin win the title here, and I think that that's going to happen. I thought that was going to happen a month ago, but this week they had Ty Dillinger beat Baron Corbin again, and I think that's just another example of let's have him lose, and then he'll win at the pay-per-view. Kind of the typical reverse. If you win on the go-home show, you lose. If you lose...
That's kind of what I thought too, yeah. That's a very common thing that they do.
So you're going Baron Corbin too?
I think so. I would prefer to have AJ Styles retain right now, but I think storyline, it probably makes more sense to put it on Corbin because I think you'd have more interesting feuds going forward.
And they've been building the whole idea up as that he's not able to actually do anything. Like, Styles literally cut the promo this week of, hey, if you actually fought and you didn't try to take the easy way out, you'd be the United States champion. You would have won the Money in the Bank cash in. You would have done this. You would have done. So if he loses again, then it's just Styles going, yeah, see, I told you so, and then moving on. Because at that point, Baron Corbin doesn't deserve another match. But if Corbin wins, then he can come out and go, you fucking see, I told you, I got it, I have it in me, and I accomplished what I said I was going to accomplish. And Styles gets his rematch on an episode of SmackDown over the next couple of weeks. That way they don't have to do the United States title match at Survivor Series, or they could still do that at Survivor Series if they wanted to, or they could do Corbin Dillinger at Survivor Series, or, whatever the case may be like that. But I think it's like pretty much has to go to Corbin at this point. But do you see a different angle from that, Callum?
Like hearing your explanation about it does make sense that Corbin has to be the one to win this match. The issue is whether that will actually take place.
I was going to say it makes sense, so that's why they won't do it.
It makes sense, so we're going to have Mo come in with a flying fan, and instead he'll win the title.
Or maybe at the pay-per-view they'll have Styles retain, and then on Tuesday Corbin will win in a rematch. Or something. They like to do that a lot too.
I hate that crap. I really hope they don't do that.
I mean, I'm just trying to think about the United States Championship in particular. It's already switched hands 7 times this year between people.
Mostly between Owens.
Yeah, Owens has held it.
He's held it 3 times in the entirety of his career, and all 3 were in the span of the past couple of months.
Yeah. So we've had, Owens has swapped it between Jericho and Styles for the last few months. Now it would be another swap onto Corbin. It's nice to have some sort of stability with a championship, especially if it has gone so many changes. But I think the stability could lie with Corbin holding it as opposed to Styles, because even though Styles does lend a lot of weight to the United States title picture because he's so good and he puts on excellent matches and he has a lot of character and SmackDown is essentially his show, he should be in the WWE Championship picture instead. And that's quite obvious, the fact that he's in the championship situation where essentially the roles are reversed. Jinder Mahal should be the United States champion, AJ Styles should be WWE champion, and then it would be a little bit more balanced. But so, yeah, I think that Corbin should win this match. And so I'll probably say that he will win and then move into a feud with Dillinger, because I think Dillinger makes sense to be in the United States title picture. I think the United States Championship has been given too much attention, which sounds awful to say, oh, we need to devalue this championship a little bit more, but it's since it overshadows the WWE Championship at the moment. So it needs to be feuding between 2 mid-carders, people that are firmly established in the mid-card right now.
Well, it's not too hard to overshadow the WWE title when their whole feud has basically been, LOL, look at this picture of Nakamura. And then Nakamura fucking...
Yeah.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. You're really going to cut a promo with that? Oh my god.
Can we not talk about this match? Can we just move on?
This whole fucking thing,
yeah.
What are they fucking thinking? Jinder Mahal, we've said before, I'm not a fan of Jinder Mahal as champion. I think that when it first happened, it was like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Hey, let's see what he's got.
It was good for the shock value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like shock value stuff too much, but there is always a chance when you take a risk like that it could end up working out. And it could be like, Jinder Mahal could have been this great champion. He could have been the next a lot of people were like, oh, Muhammad Hassan could have been world champion. And, obviously we've had Iron Sheik was amazing when it was back in the day. And it was like, who knows? Maybe Jinder Mahal is the next incarnation of that. But he isn't. He sucks. He's not that great in the ring. He's not, well, let's put it this way. He's adequate enough in the ring that it makes sense for him to be employed. But he's not anything special. So I don't look forward to any of his matches. It's the same as how if you put out Mojo Rawley. It's like, well, Mojo Rawley, I can understand why he's employed. I'm not going to be like, oh man, you know, there's that Shawn Michaels Mr. Perfect feud that we should have gotten. And there's that like amazing Nakamura versus Styles match that maybe we'll get in the future. And then there's that Jinder Mahal match versus Mojo Rawley. It's like, no, there's a type of people that like you put out there and it's whatever. But his promo work has been garbage.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that it could get any worse. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. Every fucking promo is either, I'm going to talk to my people in my language, I'm the WWE champion, see you later. Or it's laughing at these pictures. And then there's that whole idea of the racist promo thing, which to me it was like, that was a mercy attempt to try to get some heat. And then Nakamura, he has proven himself that he can't really grasp this language quick enough. And that's not entirely his fault because he's not a native English speaker, but it is something that they clearly have to work around. And it's a big problem. I mean, they're doing so many like backstage pre-taped interviews just to get around it. And they're giving him these like 2 lines to memorize. And he's still kind of struggling. And a line like that is like, that's really going to be one of your selling points, is sticks and stones may break my bones. Are we going to like transition now where after they continue feuding this, Jinder Mahal is going to start feuding with somebody else and they're going to respond back with like, oh yeah, well you're a poopy head. Like we're going to go back to the fucking elementary school type stuff.
You're rubber and I'm glue.
Yeah, that's going to be the next
whatever you say, whatever.
Well, that'll be the next gimmick match. The rubber and glue gimmick match or something.
I'm rubber, you're glue. That's it, yeah.
God, this whole feud is just shit. And I don't want either of them to win. Like I just want something to happen where we get a new fucking champion.
I would love to see AJ Styles have that title again. I hope he does. I don't know when they would do it though.
I'm hoping Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping Survivor Series, but realistically, I'm thinking maybe Clash of Champions because I think there's a rumor going around now that Jinder Mahal is going to hold the title until WrestleMania. And
that's what I've heard. Yeah.
That seems insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me if that's their goal, what's the match that they can do with Jinder Mahal? Like, what's the big match? And they have to know. They can't be this stubborn. They have to know that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar is not going to go the same way that they want it to. As much as they want it to be that that'll get Roman Reigns over and that people will like it, they have to know that that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of them going, I don't care if they boo. I want that to happen. Fuck you. We're going to do it. But then they can't also go, well, we're going to guarantee that the WWE Universal Championship match is going to piss people off. How about we also do Jinder Mahal versus like, I don't even know. The only thing
Randy
I can
Orton
see,
again.
The only thing I can see is John Cena.
Yeah, that would be the match that I would do if Jinder Mahal was still WWE champion going into WrestleMania.
And then at that point, Cena wins the 17th title. He goes in with the whole patriotic thing.
Yeah, everyone cheers him because that's the one way to guarantee cheers. Like, finally, you took the title off Jinder Mahal. That would definitely all cheer you that you've got 17 world championships.
That's the only thing I can see happening. And at that point, it's like, well, then that sucks because it's all just to put the title on somebody again. Like, it's the same thing.
I'm still holding out hope for AJ Styles versus Nakamura at WrestleMania for the title. That's what I'm holding out hope for.
That's what I'm still hoping for too. There's at least still a part of me that thinks that we're going to get AJ Styles beat Jinder Mahal for the title either at Survivor Series or at Clash of Champions, and then Nakamura could win the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I'm still
the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I'm still going along the lines of thinking that Kevin Owens is going to be a champion going into WrestleMania. So that's at least my point of view. I'm hoping that. I mean, I've heard the rumors that not only that Jinder Mahal might be going into WrestleMania as WWE champion, but he's also, well, they're touring India soon in December. Even though it's going to be a Raw branded event, he's apparently going to be appearing on those shows. So I've heard rumors that Nakamura will win the title at some point, and then Mahal win it back on a live event in India.
I hope they don't do that crap.
I wouldn't put it past them. done it multiple times before, especially in the last couple of years of titles changing hands on these house shows. In terms of like this match in general, I mean, I've been watching wrestling since about 2002. This is the worst WWE Championship feud I think I've ever seen. Based on like, the quality, the
can't
quality
argue with that. Yeah,
the quality of the people involved, the quality of the content, because the content's been absolutely terrible. The fact that I don't even know what they're feuding over. Besides, obviously they're feuding over the title, but are they really feuding over the title? Because they don't seem to actually care about the championship that much. I mean, Nakamura doesn't seem to be too invested or intent or desperate to claim anything from Jinder Mahal. And this is not just like, obviously Jinder Mahal is shit as champion, but it has to be said that Nakamura's been terrible since joining the main roster. He's had one real moment, which was the stare down with AJ Styles in the Money in the Bank match, and that's kind of it, really. The feud with Ziggler was lukewarm ever since he had a match with John Cena, which was good, but nothing like amazing that people are going to go back and watch multiple times. And then it's just into this feud with Mahal, which has been absolutely terrible and not had absolutely no like genuine heat attached to it at all.
Yeah, his feud with Baron Corbin was like as baseline as you can get. It's guy attacks you, so now you're mad. And then they botched that somehow. And
yeah, but just like his matches haven't even been that good. I mean, the match with the Money in the Bank match was good, but that's obviously you got 6 people in there, so you're probably likely to have quite a big spot fest there. The match with Cena was good, but it probably, at least in my opinion, it underplayed what it should have been or what I was expecting it to be, because it was like just a 15-minute television match as opposed to like this big pay-per-view thing that you built up to. The matches with Corbin weren't great. The matches with Ziggler were average, probably for Nakamura's level of competition. And the matches against Mahal have definitely not been that good either. So he hasn't really even had a standout match yet.
And so he will eventually end Styles somewhere down the line. Whether that's for the United States title at WrestleMania, or it's for the WWE title at WrestleMania, or it's just a match at WrestleMania, because they could do that too. Like, they could just kind of go like, well, why don't we take all the titles away from you? Because, you know.
I mean, I don't want to go into... I shouldn't be going into this match wanting Nakamura to win just because it takes the title away from Mahal. That's really not the... You should want the person who's winning the title to win the title because you like that person or you're interested in that person. You don't want to just see the title change hands just because you don't like the person that it's currently being held by.
Anybody but you, Jinder.
And you know what? I don't want Nakamura to win the title for that reason. I'd rather it stay on Jinder.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%.
And I think it is going to stay on Jinder. I think there must be a reason why they haven't put this match in a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I think that it's sticking with Jinder, and it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, maybe the backstage philosophy is different. I don't know, but I would assume that backstage they're probably thinking to themselves, look, well, we've got an out with the Singh brothers. They can come in and they can cause a DQ, or they can cause an interference thing, and then we'll give everybody enough stuff on the rest of the card that they won't be mad. That kind of a thing. We'll have Shane McMahon do that spot, and then people will go home happy.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of a thing.
Do you think it hasn't helped Jinder that every single one of his title defenses has ended pretty much the exact same way? Which is either the Singh brothers or that one instance where the Great Khali interfered and then he retains. Do you think he needs to actually beat someone to... I mean, he's a heel, so he doesn't need to get too many clean victories, but do you think he needs to beat someone to be taken a little bit more seriously?
I'd be much more inclined to book something like that if I were on the committee. I would be like, you know what? Maybe the Singh brothers try to like do some kind of a distraction, and then you get the referee that says, no, get out of here, and then it gives everybody to go, oh my god, this means that the title's going to change hands. And then not 5 seconds later, because I hate it when they do that crap where it's like there's any kind of interference or any kind of distraction, somebody turns around and they immediately get pinned. Make it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. After that, he hits the Colossus and wins. Just, he happens to win. And then you get a little bit more credibility of him going forward. And Nakamura can take a loss. It's not like he's not going to still be the same Nakamura, you know? But I'm still thinking it's going to be Jinder Mahal. I'm just not sure what they're thinking.
No, I'll predict Jinder to win this as well.
Yep, I'm on board with Jinder winning. Or retaining, at least.
Now, I think that we might have some differing opinions about this match. The SmackDown Women's Championship match. We got Natalya defending against Charlotte. And 3 people could be leaving with this title tonight. On Sunday night. Natalya could obviously retain, Charlotte could win the title, or Carmella could cash in. So we always have to factor in Carmella. I think the title's changing hands. And it's just a matter of which one leaves. I don't think that Natalya's retaining. Does anybody think that Natalya is?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm still split on this one. I want to hear what you guys think. I haven't completely made up my mind.
We have 3 different opinions.
Yeah.
Why do you think Natalya?
It's just too soon. Obviously, the Women's Championship is one of the few titles at this point in time in 2017 that hasn't really been swapped over too many times because Naomi had a decent run with the title. But Natalya winning it, I don't think Natalya was just a buffer to get the title from Naomi onto Charlotte. And obviously, there's an argument to be made that that's the case, but I think there's legs to this feud. Natalya and Charlotte have always had decent chemistry in terms of matches. They've just not had the dynamic they need. And I don't know whether they have the right dynamic now because Charlotte's babyface and Charlotte is not as good as a babyface as she is as a heel. And Natalya usually actually works better as a babyface as opposed to the heel, but I think the feud itself has been, I wouldn't say it's like standout, but it's been okay compared to a lot of the other stuff on SmackDown Live, so I'm not going to complain about something that's actually doing its job. I just think that you can drag it out a little bit longer. And I know the case of like, oh, you just don't want to drag feuds out for 3 months at a time because that's all they seem to be doing on SmackDown. But I think there's room for Charlotte to win it in a month or two's time, as opposed to just winning it straight away at her first attempt at claiming the SmackDown Women's Championship. I know I'm also along the lines of thinking that Carmella won't cash in because I'm still banking on Carmella cashing in at the Starrcade event. I think it's going to happen after the steel cage match, and I think Charlotte will potentially win it there, and then Carmella cashes in. Then you've got a new feud going forward. But yeah, I think Natalya should hold on to it for now, and that's why I'm backing her. Why do you think that Charlotte's winning, other than the fact that it's Charlotte?
There's a couple reasons. One, Natty's bland.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I agree with you
think that I kind of rag on her. I've ragged on her for many years about her being bland. I like Natty, but she is, whether she's a heel or a face, she's pretty bland. And I think she excels more when she's a baby face that can lose to people than a heel that can beat people. And she strikes me as exactly the type of person that they would put a transitional belt on because she's just been around there for so many years that it's like, well, we need to transition it from a baby face to a heel to a baby face. We need a heel that can lose, and we don't want to put it on Lana. So let's just put it on Natty. She can get another title to her name, and that way we don't kind of like screw up the Tamina feud that we're doing with Lana and everybody like that, and we don't ruin somebody like Carmella winning the cash-in of the briefcase and then losing immediately, because I think they have better plans for Carmella. And if they do the transitional thing, they have been hot potatoing belts over and over this year. So at least a subconscious thing in their mind, they think that that's okay in 2017. Because we've had, 7 United States champions. We've had Owens. Well, let's put it this way. We had, in 2016, Finn Balor for one day, then we had Kevin Owens. Those were the only Universal champions. This year, we've had Owens, then Goldberg, then Lesnar. And the only reason that Lesnar hasn't dropped that title is because they just specifically want him to lose it to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But the WWE title randomly went to Jinder Mahal. The Intercontinental title has kind of mostly been around The Miz, but it's been Dean Ambrose, and it's been, whatever. Tag titles have been flopping around like crazy. I think that the SmackDown Women's title is going to follow the same suit. And we talked about the Baron Corbin thing with him losing on SmackDown. Charlotte lost her tag team match, and she didn't just lose it, she tapped out. I think that was an attempt to make Charlotte look like she's not going to win, because they could have easily had Becky tap out.
Yeah, I think they have that sort of like mentality about them. I just think that maybe that was almost a double bluff, almost.
It could be.
I mean, I'm trying to think about the situation. I'm not saying that if Natalya is to win this match or retain her championship, she necessarily has to win. Like, she could get DQ'd or counted out, because they're definitely not above doing that, even on a pay-per-view. I mean, Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks springs immediately to mind for that. But
there's another thing that I think is going to play a huge factor in this, and it's Ric Flair. I think when they said this week that I think it was Byron was like, when Charlotte was going to the ring, it was like, we know that Ric Flair has been going through all his stuff, and Charlotte and Rick had an agreement that he would fight as long as she would fight to get that title. And they love Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they threw that out there because in their minds, they can kind of capitalize on the momentum of that. And if Charlotte wins the title, it'll be like, yay, Ric Flair is like better now, and Charlotte won the title, and isn't this great? Like, now we're back to normal, and we have a baby face, and Charlotte can be like, my dad's a fighter, and he told me how to be a fighter, and that's why I won the title, and yay, like that kind of a thing. I think that they are going to value that way too much to just be able to ignore it.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. You both make good points. Right now, I'm leaning towards Charlotte getting it, because like you said, they are hot potatoing some of these belts back and forth, and especially with the women's championships, they seem to be more comfortable doing that. And Charlotte has not yet held the SmackDown Women's Championship at all. So I think they at least want to give her that first one right now. And she's obviously their favorite, backstage, as far as, people booking. Charlotte is the big one that everyone's hot on. And, part of that is the lineage, her legacy, but she's actually really good in the ring too. So I would not be against them putting the title on her. Like you said, Natalya is bland, whether she's face or heel. And I don't think she's really doing much for the title. I don't think the title's doing much for her either. So I think Charlotte probably should win, and they can continue the feud for a little bit. I do not think that there's going to be a cash-in this weekend, though. I would be surprised. I think they're going to tease it, but I don't think there's actually going to be a cash-in.
I don't think there is either.
No.
And I do kind of agree with that Starrcade idea, that could be a possibility. But now that we just got confirmation this week that Shayna Baszler has signed with WWE, points a little bit more towards that whole 4 horsewomen match. And I'm just going to stick to this until I get proven wrong. I'm still leaning towards the idea that 4 horsewomen match is going to happen at WrestleMania, and that they're going to need to have one of the champions in that match, because they won't have room for 3 women's matches on that card. And Charlotte is like the best way to accomplish that, because Asuka on Raw, she'll get that title. So
you should do, yeah.
That Asuka versus like Nia Jax match or something, or maybe Asuka versus Bray Wyatt, and Charlotte goes into WrestleMania with the SmackDown Women's title and doesn't have to defend it. I still think that that's a scenario, and they could wait a little bit. They could have her win the title, at the Royal Rumble or something like that. But I think that you might as well just cut to the chase and do it now. Starrcade, that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
because they could just hot potato it there too. They could just do Natty loses to Charlotte here, and Starrcade is in a month. Carmella cashes in, either wins the title and drops it back to Charlotte, or because Charlotte, they made the joke before about her beating Ric Flair's title reign and stuff. She's already at 5?
Something like that, yeah. That's what I'm just thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking about. Like, I just think Starrcade is going to be a double. They'll do the double. They'll give Charlotte the title and then have her immediately lose it. Do you think that's something?
Definitely a possibility.
Yeah. I don't think they've done that with a cash-in for a little while. They've been done that on rare occasions where someone's just won the title and then they immediately lose it. So
Money in the Bank, I think.
Oh yeah,
When
with
it was Roman Reigns transitioning to Rollins, who lost it to
oh
Ambrose.
yeah, that was sooner than I remember.
Was that 2016?
Oh yeah. That was last year. God, this is so much wrestling. Just like it makes it feel like this happened like 10 years ago or something.
Well, finally, our main event, which I'm assuming is going to be our main event, is a Hell in a Cell match: Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. And I have no idea who's going to win this one. I keep going back and forth. I lean a little bit more towards Kevin Owens because it makes more sense to me. But this could very easily be Shane McMahon's win. And I like that they added this little extra false count anywhere stipulation because they don't do enough false count anywhere. Like, that seems to be the redheaded stepchild for gimmicks. They'll pull out these, like, Cincinnati street fight and, you know, like these random, like, no DQ matches and stuff. And it's like, that's fine. It's generic no DQ, whatever. That should be the most generic one because it is the most generic. It's just, hey, you could use weapons in this. Okay. But very rarely do they ever do false count anywhere. And that's fun. And
yeah,
the fact that they added that to the Hell in a Cell, first off, of course, everybody goes, oh, okay, so they're getting out of the Hell in a Cell. So
of course.
Yeah, of course they are. They have to at this point.
Well, Shane has to fall off something at some points.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like everybody knew that was going to happen anyway because it's a Hell in a Cell match. You can't do 2 Hell in a Cell matches on a card and not have at least one of them come outside of the Hell in a Cell. So for them to add that, now it's just a matter of who gets that pin outside of the cell. And the only thing I can think of is Shane's going to do that elbow drop again, and it's either going to be he lands it and he pins Owens, or he misses it and Owens pins him. So it's just a 50-50. It's like, well, which
you think just a replay of the same spot from the Undertaker match?
I think so. I don't have a whole lot of high hopes for this match. I think it'll be kind of fun, but I kind of imagine it being one of those things where it's like a 2-spot match and that's it. And people are like, oh my God, this is fucking great. But when you actually boil it down, do you really want to watch it again, or do you want to watch just the 2 highlights?
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for that. I mean, I think with the high spots, I actually think it's going to be Owens that goes off the top of the cell. Just because we've seen Shane do it. And obviously that's Shane's thing. So I think Owens is going to try and prove that he can do it instead. And Owens is no stranger with his time in like CCW and Ring of Honor to taking really dangerous risks if he thinks that it's worth taking to get himself over. And I think he'll try and do a frog splash from the top, or some sort of splash, or some sort of elbow drop. And I think he'll probably end up missing instead.
Man,
which is
what doesn't do that cannonball thing.
No, that would probably be. Yeah. So I'm thinking that it's going to end up being. I think either Owens is going to do that, or he's going to throw Shane from the cell instead of it being a dive. Just to add a little bit of variety, because I just don't think it's right to do the same exact thing that he did in the Undertaker match. Not saying that they wouldn't do that, because of course it's like the usual thing for Shane to do. So I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I agree. I'd like either of those scenarios you pose. Either, Shane getting thrown off, or Kevin Owens doing the big spot off the top. I think either of those would be interesting.
Could you imagine like Owens power bombing Shane off of the cell through the Undertaker?
But it has to be a pop-up one too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
not like hold him up and really like transition it and go, okay, do we line up right? Okay, no, it has to be just like, just pick him up and throw him and just hope it happens.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because like with the Undertaker, you always knew when the Hell in a Cell match for the Undertaker, you always knew that Shane would be the one. If there was going to be like a giant dive, it was going to be Shane that does it. In this one, I think there's a little bit more disparity about which one does the big thing.
Yeah.
Just because of Owens' reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's very likely that we could see the match end, the pinfall would happen after one of them goes through the announce table after a giant fall. So that's why they would have probably added the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation. But like you, Tony, I'm undecided about which person it is that will actually do that.
Yeah, because they could be fighting on top of it, and it could be like a little bit of foreshadowing that Owens said, "I'm going to throw you off," or it could just be a misdirect. It could be Owens wants to throw Shane off, and Shane spins around and throws Owens off, and he just jumps off, and it's one of those things where it's like kind of a little bit of a mix between Foley and Taker, where he threw him off, but it was mostly like, I'm going to hold you and you're going to jump, that kind of a thing. If they're willing to do that again, which is like, that's kind of, I don't know if they really want to do that, but that could be the end of the match. Like, you get thrown off the Hell in a Cell, you land on top of an announce table, that should be the end of the match.
Yeah.
Especially since we have interferences where people will be like, I don't know, Maurice will slap somebody and then somebody else will get pinned and it's like, oh, he's knocked out for a while. And it's like, oh, well, a little slap from Maurice, But yeah, it's just a matter of does Owens take the fall and get pinned, or does Shane miss the elbow drop or something? And I'm really curious too what they do after this, because they can't keep the two of them on the same brand. And
they did with AJ Styles after AJ Styles fought Shane. I mean, they kind of, now I respect you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to get that with Owens.
Probably not. That's why Owens has to win, I think.
I'm sort of thinking that one of the directions we can go is he can trade Owens back to Raw for somebody else. And then that makes me go, well, who does he trade him for? And then that makes me think, I don't know, maybe Braun Strowman? Because Braun Strowman doesn't have much left to do on Raw. And they don't seem to be really building him up for anything for TLC. And I'm getting really suspicious about that. He's done his match with Ambrose and with Rollins, and they're not really, like, moving another person into his direction.
That's true. I can envision that scenario. I can also envision a scenario where Owens wins, beats Shane so badly that Shane has to essentially be taken out of commission for a while. And so we see
He's no longer commissioner.
Yeah, he's out of commissioner. And into commissioner comes Stephanie McMahon. Which is weird because obviously she's still technically the Raw commissioner, but she's been so divorced from that situation that maybe she'll just take over the reins on SmackDown for a while instead.
I hope that's not the case, because if Daniel Bryan leaves, then we're going to get the same people running Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. I do understand that, but I think Owens needs to be on SmackDown right now because SmackDown offers him the opportunity to be in the World Championship picture. Whereas if he goes on Raw, I think he gets lost in the shuffle. I don't see...
At that point, who does he feud with on Raw?
Yeah. I mean, does he go... He can't go for the Intercontinental Championship right now unless, say... I could see an instance where Roman Reigns wins the title for, like, build himself up to fight Brock Lesnar and then loses. He needs to lose it to somebody at the Royal Rumble or something like that. Just with the way they're doing the Shield stuff at the moment. But I think Owens, if he stays on SmackDown, he could be a world champion. If he goes to Raw, he just gets lost in the mid-card.
That's one of the problems with keeping that title on Brock Lesnar. Nobody can move up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one person who's taken that title off of Brock Lesnar, and I think we all know who it is. So,
Jinder Mahal.
Exactly. To win the Royal Rumble
title match, that's what's happening at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
this whole time's been a big misdirect. It's that they're keeping the title on Brock Lesnar to drop it at WrestleMania, indeed, but it's to drop it to Jinder Mahal.
And then Carmella cashes in and wins both titles.
And I'd rather have it than some of the other alternatives.
Yeah. So where do you actually see Owens going after this? If it's, let's say he's not traded to Raw, who does he feud with after either winning or losing this match with Shane? Because I think that's the most interesting question. Is obviously we know Shane, he does these one-off matches, and whether he wins or loses, he'll just go back to being the commissioner of SmackDown or go back to doing whatever he does. But for Owens, like, this is a huge match for him where he's going to main event Hell in a Cell against like one of the McMahon family. Like, he's embroiled himself in a feud with the McMahons. Where does he go from there? Because I think as soon as you're feuding with the McMahons, the only way you can go from there is to the World Championship. to maintain momentum. Anything other than that is like just a complete disconnect.
I could see Kevin Owens feuding with Shinsuke Nakamura going forward, because then again, if Shinsuke Nakamura loses his match against Jinder Mahal, what does he do afterward? He's already feuded with Dolph Ziggler. Bobby Roode isn't a heel, and they just did their whole feud. Obviously, he can't, like, Nakamura and Mike Kanellis doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So Owens is kind of the next step. I mean, we even had Baron Corbin and Nakamura, so they can't be really feuding for the US title for those two. So Owens is really the only other person left for Nakamura.
I think that could be a good feud going forward. I'd like to see them work together.
They'd probably have like a pretty decent match. It's just the idea of like whether that's just too much of a drop down for Owens after feuding with Shane. Not saying that Nakamura's bad or anything, he just doesn't have a lot of momentum behind him at the moment. That feud would be heavily reliant on the matches being excellent rather than the storytelling behind it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same for all of Nakamura's matches.
Kind of at the moment, yeah.
Because if we're judging his storytelling capabilities, it's preschool limericks and stuff.
I don't know, Tony. Always promos look the same to me.
That's too far.
That's too far.
So, gun to your head, if you got to pick, it's Owens or McMahon. One of the two has to win unless they do a draw, which that'll just piss people off. But I'm assuming I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say Owens.
I agree. Kevin Owens gets the win this Sunday.
Kevin Owens wins just because he has more to gain from winning the match.
Plus, it kind of seems like if McMahon wins, Owens should complain.
Yeah.
The feud can continue, you know?
Yeah, and also, like, McMahon's matches are there to be showpieces. Like, does he really ever need to win matches? You know that you're going to probably have fun during it, and he's going to fall off something huge, and that'll be the exciting part of it. He doesn't need to win matches ever, really.
Especially, too, because he's not an actual normal roster member, and if he beats somebody that's on the roster, it kind of makes him look bad.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I could see Shane winning this is if Owens is the one that takes a fall from something. And he kind of does it to himself, because then it's kind of like understandable that McMahon just takes advantage of Owens doing something to himself.
Yeah, it could be like he jumps off the cage to try to... Maybe he tries to land that elbow on Shane, and Shane moves out of the way, and then Shane pins him. And then on the SmackDown afterward, Owens goes, you know what? Shane didn't beat me. I beat myself. You just capitalized and you got a pin because of me trying to do something like that, and I need to subscribe to Drew Gulak's no high-flying rule. You know, that could be the way that they kind of get around it. And then Nakamura comes out and he just goes, you know, hey, fuck you, pal, or something like that. And they kind of just say the hell with the Vince McMahon kind of thing, and they just move on, you know?
Yeah.
I think that might be you know what? Now it's crap. Now I'm kind of thinking.
Now you think Shane's gonna win, right?
Wins. Yeah.
Thrown doubt into the mind.
You know. Yeah.
Gun to your head, Tony.
I'm gonna say Shane McMahon wins. Now I'm gonna go with that. Why not? And we'll see what happens on the Sunday night. Of course, we'll be doing our post show after the pay-per-view and talking about where they're going to go from wherever they decide to do, whether it's stuff that we predicted or if we're dead wrong, and it's going to be like, we're going to be leaving with Styles as champion, the Usos as champions, somehow the Hype Bros will win their match, and the Fashion Police will start a feud with the fucking Demolition, or I don't know, like, you know, it's going to be a weird Hell in a Cell, but stay tuned for the Pay-Per-Viewpoint post-show of that. If you want to be aware of when that comes up, obviously hit that subscribe button on YouTube and ring the bell for notifications, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment to check out for whenever new posts are put up, not just on the channel, but on the website as well. And as far as the other people on the panel, you can follow them at the things that they're going to say now. So, Kalen, you're up first.
Yeah, you can check me out appearing with Northwest Ohio Wrestling. We're based in Toledo, Ohio, so if you're anywhere in the area, make sure you come check out. We got shows coming up basically every month for the next year going forward. They're already on the calendar, so check that out. Follow us on Facebook at Northwest Ohio Wrestling.
And Callum?
You can follow me on Twitter at Wingmaster14 and check out all articles that I write and all the other great writers put together for Smark Out Moments. All the weekly segments, all the Smark remarks, everything on there. You want to check it out because we have better opinions than you do. So you need to inform your own opinions.
Especially you, Tim.
Yeah, Tim. What the hell are you thinking, Nakamura winning the title?
I hope that there's somebody named Tim watching this right now. Then he's just kind of like, hey.
He's sitting there with his Bullet Club shirt on, just like eating nachos or something.
Jesus.
We probably got a pop from him instead of like him being upset about it.
Alrighty, everybody, that'll do us in for this episode. Make sure you leave your comments below and tell us what you think is going to be happening at Hell in a Cell, and hit that little like if you liked it, and we'll see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.